And welcome to the GEICO 15 Minutes or Less Coaches Show with the head coach, Doug Wojcik. As always, each week brought to you by GEICO, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. Call GEICO at 1-800-947-AUTO. That's 1-800-947-AUTO, or visit geico.com. And with that, we welcome you down to the court here inside TD Arena alongside the head coach, Doug Wojcik. I'm Jeff McCarriger. Thanks for tuning in this week. As always, a lot to talk about this week as we'll try to get to it in under 15 minutes. Kyle Apad, our director, has always done a good job editing and make sure we stay under that. We'll see if we can do it again this week. All right, Coach, first things first, before we talk about the Kent State loss, let's rewind, get your thoughts on Old Dominion. One of those games that you rolled your eyes at me a couple of times. It was a struggle for both teams. For a while there, I thought maybe first one to 40 was going to win it.
Well, it's been that way for us, quite honestly, the last few weeks. But, really good road win for us. Traditionally, a very good mid-major program at Old Dominion. You saw their banners up there and the success they've had over the last 10 years. And they were a team that really played pretty well early and played a tough game against VCU. And they've got some good guards who are now sophomores. They were freshmen when they played us here last year. But we did a great job defensively. We really guarded them. We didn't start the game well. Turnovers kind of plagued us early, first 8-10 minutes of the game. I think we had 8 turnovers. They were out to a 10-4 lead, but then we came surging back and found a way to kind of put the ball in the basket, which is whether it's been in Norfolk, Virginia, or here in Charleston, South Carolina, there's been a lid on the basket for us. But got a lead, kept the lead. They came running, came storming back on us, but maintained it, and some guys made some plays down the stretch.
You and I talked about this, I think, during the radio show. I thought it was really interesting, a stat there. It was Old Dominion who jumped out to a 10-4 lead, but then you guys held them to just 34 points the rest of the game. I thought the defense stepped up. You held them just 31% shooting.
We did, and Anthony Stitt did a great job on Bacot, their leading scorer. He hit 1-3 in transition late. We did a really good job on their ball screens for the kid Palmore, their point guard. And relatively speaking, just got great contributions. Best college performance for a David Wishon. A guy got a foul on him, and that's been a little bit of a theme lately. And David, who we didn't have in the Marist game, came in, made his presence felt, did a great job, had some blocked shots. Overall, we blocked 9 shots in the game, and just a really good defensive effort and a great game by David Wishon.
Yeah, one of those typical games by a big man where even if he wasn't scoring, I mean, he was altering shots. He had 7 rebounds, keeping the ball up high, nice outlet passes a couple times. He played really well.
He did, and I think our fans, just to make sure they understand, a lot of teams will now ball screen. David's man will go ball screen against him because he's 7'2" and 270 pounds, and he did a great job of moving his feet in that game and sliding his feet and really controlling the ball handler when they do that to him. And the more he can progress that way, the better he's going to help us down the road.
Of course, the other headline from that game was the fact that you made a change in the starting lineup. Joe Cheeley and Canyon Berry both came off the bench. Looking back over this past week, how do you think they responded to that?
Well, I mean, in a lot of ways, Canyon hits the game winner at Old Dominion. Not to justify my move. My move was more to maybe take pressure off those two to some degree. I don't think that people realize that they're freshmen, and they have to grow into those positions, but yet we're incredibly dependent and reliant on both of them. So I give Canyon a lot of credit. He hits a game winner, three-pointer at a critical time, and then Joe Cheeley plays 31 minutes in that game and has 4 assists and 1 turnover. So he plays a very, very good floor game and calls some really nice things for us, and both of them help us win a game on the road.
Now let's switch and talk about the Kent State game on Saturday back at home. A very tough team. Kent State came in 8-2. They hadn't played in 16 days, and I think the rush showed for them as well. But, Willis Hall, I want to mention him. Even in the loss to Kent State, Willis Hall's really having a good year for you.
He really is, and Kent comes in here, and everyone was asking me beforehand, how do you think it would be? And that was the million-dollar question, and obviously, Kent wasn't very efficient either. But we're led by Willis. He's the emotional leader. He's the guy that has to make shots for us right now. He is our best, highest percentage three-point shooter on the team. So, it's almost like every shot that is taken, whether it's Anthony Stitt or Canyon Berry or Willis Hall, it's magnified because nothing is coming easy for us. Not pressure on them. It's just the way it is. And then teams like Kent, they try to take away Ajay Baru. They really crowd him, and it adds to and magnifies the whole situation from the perimeter.
Let's talk about this offense a little bit. As far as shot selection and the offense, this goes all the way back to the UNC Asheville game. You and I talked about this. I think the guys are doing a good job of running the offense, getting shots. They simply just have to start making these shots.
Yeah, I mean, and I've said this before. I mean, you go to Louisville, you're a 22-point underdog. It's not like I'm going to put pressure on the guys to go win at the defending national championships home floor. So that's one thing. Then you come home and you're down by 14 against Charlotte. Well, you have no choice but to just let it go. You're down. And so now it sort of matters from that point on, whether it's Asheville, whether it's Miami, whether it's – and we've had shots. The difference in the Asheville game is there's 70 shots in that game. And the other night against Kent State, we only get 45 shots with 21 turnovers. And so people have to understand that. I mean, you give us 10 more shots, you make your free throws. You're 13 of 14 from the free throw line on Wednesday night at Old Dominion, and you're now 16 of 29 from the free throw line at home. Hard to figure, hard to imagine. But we did have shots. I've watched the tape. We have to make shots. I mean, you look at our statistics. Ajay only averages averages under 7 shots a game. He's shooting 60%, nearly 60% from the floor. So other guys are getting double-digit shots, and it's not a matter of green light. It's not a matter of me pressuring. They have to take those shots, but at the same time, Ajay Baru has to get more shots.
Coach, still a lot to talk about. When we come back, we'll take our first break. This will be the last show that we're going to have for about 2.5 weeks. So a lot to talk about with Davidson coming up on the road. The Citadel will be a nice rivalry that will stay alive even though we've left the conference. And then, of course, speaking of the conference, we'll talk about the CAA schedule as well and give you a little preview when we come back. It's the GEICO 15 Minutes or Less podcast with the head coach, Doug Wojcik. Back with more right after this.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Yep, everybody knows that.
Well, did you know that some owls aren't that wise?
Don't forget I'm having brunch with Megan tomorrow.
Who?
Megan, my coworker.
Who?
Seriously, you've met her like 3 times.
Who?
GEICO. 15 minutes could save you, well, you know.
And welcome back inside TD Arena here in downtown Charleston, our 15 Minutes or Less podcast brought to you by GEICO with the head coach, Doug Wojcik. All right, Coach, we talked about so far this season and the loss to Kent State, the win against Old Dominion. Now some time off for you guys. Next up will be the Citadel, and it's great to see this rivalry stay alive, even though we're headed to the CAA. It's going to be a lot of fun to face them as always.
Well, there's just no question it's the right thing to do. I mean, you know, we support Citadel football, and, of course, so many people in town. I spoke at the Hibernian this summer, and it was mostly Citadel guys. I mean, I just think it's really healthy. I like it, especially with my alma mater being the Naval Academy, and so many of my friends have come through here in the Navy through Charleston. And you know, for instance, I spoke at the Navy birthday ball back in November. Just really enjoyed my heritage with the military, and I think the Citadel game's a great game.
And I know you and I talked about this on the coaches show leading up to the Citadel game last year. You can really relate to the cadets. Brings back a lot of memories for you guys.
Oh man,
they're called the Knobs at the Citadel. What were you guys called?
Plebes.
Plebes. That's
a plebiscite is the lowest living organism on the earth. But my wife and I laughed because we were both plebes. That when we see the cadets downtown on Friday and Saturday nights, and just we kind of get the heebie-jeebies because that was us at one time, walking with your uniform on, and everyone else is having fun, and it's such a fashionable city anyway. People have their clothes on, and you're in that uniform. But we feel for them. We actually admire them and really respect what they go through.
And of course, you and Chuck Drizzell have a relationship as well. You guys have known each other for quite a while.
No, I can't stand the guy. No, he's,
right.
He's truly one of my best friends. We're there for each other. The other night, they played great. The afternoon we lost to Kent, they played a great game at Nebraska. Tied at halftime, lose by 15. I think he's doing a great job under very, very difficult circumstances. So it's not going to be an easy game. It wasn't easy at their place last time, and we'll get back here and get ourselves regrouped, heading into the CAA, which is really the goal, which is really the near future for us.
Before you get to CAA, you'll face Davidson, then Howard. But let's talk about the CAA. We're running out of time. And let's go in the order that we'll face them. Still a lot of people trying to get familiar with the conference, so let's just kind of go through team by team. You'll face James Madison and Hofstra first. Interesting, I was looking at the schedule. We actually don't face Drexel for the first time until February 13th. But give us your overall thoughts of the conference and what to expect.
Well, all the schedules are pretty much similar right now, to be honest. A team that's really good, 3-8 or 3-9, is Northeastern. They've got a win over Georgetown, and you wouldn't even. I mean, they've been snake bit a little bit themselves. Delaware is a really good team. You see, the team that's really separated themselves for the most part has been Drexel. Bruiser's been there 13 years. They've been close before. I've been recently looking at the times, most recent trips to the NCAA tournament. And Drexel's most recent trip to the NCAA tournament was 1996. So they've been knocking on the door, and he's done a nice job with his team, and I think they're the team to beat right now in the conference.
Pat Scarry and Towson, we talked about them during the telecast. He's done a really good job turning that program around. I think when he took over his first year, they were 1-31. We faced them before, obviously, and he's done a good job turning that around. They haven't been in the tournament since 1991.
Yeah, there's only been 3 teams in the league, I believe, in the tournament since 2000. James Madison, UNC Wilmington, and I'm forgetting the other one. But Towson, he's done a nice job. They're 7-6. They were picked to win. They were picked to win the league. They're 7-6 right now. So they've got a really good player in the Benjamin kid, who's Player of the Year in the league.
Now, William & Mary, you said this could be, a lot of people thought this might be a good year for William & Mary with the guys that they were returning.
Well, if you look at the All-League conference selections, they have a first-team All-Leaguer and they have a second-team All-Leaguer on those teams. We have a second-team player in Ajay Baru picked preseason. So you look at that. They've played just 10 games so far. They're 6-4. A lot of things that people don't realize, though, is who have you played? And records are a little misleading. I saw a good friend of mine is Jeff Lebo at East Carolina, great guy. They have a chance to be off to their best start in school history. I think he has 2 or 3 non-Division I wins there. So it just depends on who you play. Delaware's challenged themselves. Towson's challenged themselves. Drexel's challenged themselves. We've challenged ourselves. And so we'll see where things go as we, if we stay healthy going into January.
Got to wrap things up. Questions I get from our fans is, hey, you guys going to be flying this year? Are you going to be busing? Where are you going to go? Are you going to have time to see the sights? I want a lot of people to realize this is a business trip for a lot of the guys. Probably won't have a whole lot of time for sightseeing, but are you excited about some of the places we'll travel to?
I'm excited because we win 80% of the games on the road, so I'm excited to go win on the road. I mean, for some reason, I said this in the media room, we're 14-12 at home in my 19, 20 months here. It's I can't figure it out. We're 12-3. Winning 80% of our games on the road. So, for instance, our first road trip, Hofstra will fly up to Long Island. We won't get into New York. You're on Long Island. You're not going to deal with that traffic between Long Island and New York City. You play Saturday afternoon against Hofstra. You get on the bus, and we'll bus up to Boston. And as it turns out, I don't think people were anticipating this. We'll end up spending 3 nights in Boston. We'll get to Boston very late on a Saturday night. Coaching staff will get together, get the game plan together, let the kids sleep in on Sunday, go practice. Get some more rest Sunday night in Boston, go play the game Monday night. Can't get out of there Monday night. You got to catch a really, really early flight on a Tuesday and get back and try to get to school Tuesday afternoon. Take Tuesday, Wednesday off, knowing that we have Towson on a Sunday here. A trip to James Madison, William & Mary, we'll bus that. We'll leave early on a Friday, and it'll be a long bus trip to James Madison, probably 7-8 hours. Just the way we got to do it.
Right. Well, I think the kids are excited. It'll be fun, even though we won't have a whole lot of time for sightseeing. It'll be fun to get up to New York and Boston, some of these new places. So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, sure is.
All right, Coach. Thanks for your time, and we will talk to you again in a couple weeks. Happy holidays.
Well, Merry Christmas to everybody. Thanks. Happy holidays.
That's our GEICO 15 minutes or less podcast. Hopefully, Each week brought to you by GEICO, where 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car insurance. For the coach, Doug Wojcik, I'm Jeff McCarriger. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you in a couple weeks. Happy holidays.